Guys, welcome back. Jessie here. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you with open arms. I hope you stay and become a part of my tribe. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Jessie. I am a professional organizer and a life coach, and I help people navigate through blockages, issues that they are dealing with, and just help them try to live their best life. I coach teenagers aged 13 all the way to young adults to their 30s, and then of course I coach adults. So the kids I coach, they're dealing with different struggles. So some of them are high spectrum autism, some of them suffer from depression, some of them just need executive functioning coaching, which is goal setting, prioritizing, time management, things of that nature. I do adult coaching for people who are, entrepreneurs, people who need business coaching. I offer different types of coaching, but one thing I find with all of my clients is that there is one underlying issue, and that is they all suffer from some form of anxiety. So anxiety is a big issue within our population. I believe it's 10% of teenagers suffer from anxiety, and about 40% of adults suffer from anxiety. So at least 40% of adults will suffer from anxiety at least one point or another in their life. So that's a large part of our population. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks on how to relieve that anxiety. These are the methods I use with my clients, especially my young clients. And today I'm going to be sharing it with you. So hopefully if you are suffering from anxiety, you get something from this video. So the first method I would suggest is journaling. So journaling is a good way of releasing pent up emotion. So if you're not aware, anxiety is a secondary emotion. It's usually an emotion that is masking another issue or another emotion, right? So anxiety usually stems from worry and fear. So some type of fear that has manifested itself into your outer skirts and it's just kind of taking hold and taking a grip on you. So there's different spectrums of anxiety as well. You might have an anxiety disorder, or you might just be going through something that is triggering anxiety within you. Whatever the reason, however you got there, it could be crippling. That's the way people feel when they deal with anxiety. They feel like they're trapped in their own mind, and it's one of those self-imprisoned disorders or issues that can be very, very, very hard to escape and very hard to deal with. So one thing that people do not understand about anxiety, or they do but they don't quite understand it to the realms, is that anxiety is something that we can control. It's a circumstance that stems from internal, not external. Things that we can control externally are other people, right? Or other people, the way people behave, the way people see us. Those are things that are external to oneself. We cannot control that. But anxiety stems from thoughts, our own thoughts, that react an emotion that later manifests itself in action. So that's exactly what anxiety is in the most simplest form of its definition. And so one way to really try to get out of your head is to journal. So journaling, all it requires is a notebook and a pen. All you're doing is sitting down with oneself and just jotting down, putting pen to paper, your feelings, your thoughts, everything that's going on in that mind of yours, and that it's kind of ruminating all, going all crazy. Get it out. Get it out and put it onto a journal. How does that help? Well, a lot of people find once they start journaling, they start releasing, right? So when you are keeping everything within and you are suppressing emotions and suppressing feelings, it actually gets bottled up, and then it has to come out some way. So it comes out in an unhealthy, negative way, which is the form of anxiety. So in order to stop that in its tracks, you have to stop the root of it, which is your thoughts. So a lot of people are not aware of their thoughts. They're not aware of the things that they're thinking. They're not aware of how negative they're thinking. They might not be aware of emotions and feelings that are really suppressed deep down inside. Usually when you suffer from anxiety, there might be something that stems from anger within your emotions and you're not even realizing it. You might be angry with a person, angry with a situation, angry with a circumstance. And since you can't control it, you can't get out of it, you can't manipulate it in some way, you start developing anxiety, right? You start developing that fear and that worry, and it just kind of takes you into that like circle which you can't escape from. So one way to get rid of it: journal, journal, journal. So journaling, any notebook, you can use any notebook. What I like to do when I journal is I find cute little stationery, cute little notebooks that have, you know, something that resonates with me. So I'll show you a few notebooks here that I have for myself. And so this is one of my notebooks. It says eat well, travel often. I love to travel. Travel inspires me. I like to think of, you know, fantasize and imagine where I want to go. So it does help me escape my thoughts in my mind when I feel anxious and worried. And it just looks like this in the inside, blank pieces of paper where I could just write some more, right? So that's one. And then I have another one here that's more like a girly, flowery, right? It's really cute. Same concept. You're just writing whatever comes to you, you know, just blank notebooks. And then I have another one that is actually more humorous, and it says more issues than rogue. Because guys, sometimes you just gotta laugh it off. You gotta laugh at yourself. You gotta laugh at things that you can't control. Because what else can you? What can you do about it, right? What else can you do about it but laugh? Learn how to laugh at life. Learn how to laugh at your circumstances, because you know that it will get better. I promise you it will. So once again, you can get any type of notebook, but it's always a good idea to get something that inspires you and makes you want to just take that time to sit down and be one with yourself and write down your feelings. Okay, so that's one aspect that you can implement to release some of that anxiety and pent up emotion. One thing that's good about journaling is that you can go back, right? So go back to your journal when you feel less anxious and read through it. Why do you want to do that? Well, that's a good question. You want to do that because that's the way you're going to get into the depths of what your thoughts are about. I'm going to say that again. So that's the way you're going to get into the depths of what your thoughts are about. A lot of times we don't realize the things that we are thinking, the negative thoughts that we're having, like I said, those pent up feelings. So when you read back your journal, when you are when you're at a more peaceful place and your mind is a little bit more free and not so blocked, you realize kind of patterns that is developing within you. You'll start seeing triggers. You start seeing the trigger patterns, right? So what triggers you? What caused you to feel anxiety? What was happening right before you started feeling this feeling of worry or lack or confusion or whatever you're feeling? What brought on that type of anxiety? So it's a great way to do introspection about yourself, learn about yourself, learn about your thoughts, learn about your feelings, learn about your triggers. It is a great way and form of doing introspection. So that's why journaling is so good if you suffer from anxiety. So the second thing that I would suggest is meditating. Meditating. If you have never tried meditating, you need to try it today. So I always suggest meditating for anything. If you're going through anything that's difficult, or you're looking to ground yourself, or you're looking to just have that inner peace or just be one with yourself, meditate. So a lot of people find it hard to meditate. If you're finding it hard to meditate, that means you are either super anxious or you need to spend more time going with it. It is not hard. All you're doing is you're sitting down in a quiet room and you're just kind of blocking off all forms of interruptions or forms of distractions, and you're just taking some time for yourself. If you find it hard, you can always meditate with music, with some soft music in the background. Everybody meditates different, so I can tell you exactly how to meditate. You gotta find what works for you. Try meditating if you've never done it. It is great for bringing peace to your mind. If your mind is always racing, if you're trapped in your mind, try it. I promise it will help. So, something else that I would suggest, now I suggest this directly, this is something I came up with, this is something I teach my clients, especially my kids, my younger kids, what they should practice. I have them take around a little index cards, and I have specific questions that I wrote out for them, and I have them put these index cards, this is what it looks like. I have them put these index cards in their locker, in their backpack, in their lunchbox, whatever they're carrying around, in their car, if they're driving, in their notebook, on their desk, wherever. I have them have numerous amounts of index cards, and they have specific challenging questions. So this is when you want to challenge your fear, when you want to challenge your worry, when you want to challenge your thoughts. So with anxiety, it triggers the 3 F's. The 3 F's are flight, fight, or freeze. Those are the 3 F's. So usually with people who suffer from anxiety, they either freeze or they flight. So they run away from it, right? Or they completely freeze and don't know how to deal with it. And that's what traps them. Or like I said, they're running from it. And we don't want to run away from our problems. So these specific questions that I have them write in their index cards is a way of challenging that fear. Looking it straight dead in the eye and saying, I see you, I know you, and you are not going to trap me. So these are the questions. I'm going to share with you what I have them think about. So the first question is, what am I feeling? So what are they feeling? What are you feeling right now when you're starting to develop that anxiousness, right? Like what is happening with it? Second, what brought this on? So what happened right before that created this anxious feeling with it? So a lot of times people don't know their triggers. They don't know what's causing the anxiety. They just know that they're having. So this causes them to stop, freeze, and think about what is happening at this moment, at this present time, so we can identify it, so we can understand it, and we can get to the root of the problem, right? The third question, how have I managed this feeling in the past? So that's a very important question, because a lot of the times these kids or people or whoever's feeling this anxious feeling and have no idea how to manage it. The fourth thing, is this fear or worry realistic? Majority of the times we start worrying and thinking and creating scenarios that are not realistic at all. We think the worst case scenario. And it might not even be realistic. We start thinking the worst, this is gonna happen. We're gonna get up and have a speech, and we're gonna go up there and our clothes are gonna fall off, or we're gonna trip off the stage, or we're gonna go up there and the mic is not gonna work. We think of all the crazy things that happen. And majority of the time, that is not the case. That is just our mind playing tricks on us, and that anxiousness coming out to take control of us. So that's a challenging question, for yourself when you're going through this. Is this fear realistic? Okay. The fifth question, what are the chances of this happening? So what are the chances of whatever you're fearing or worrying about actually it coming true? Is this actually happening? The sixth question, can I change the direction of the outcome? So let's say whatever you're worried and fearful of is super realistic, and it is, it can happen. So instead of worrying about what we cannot change, the inevitable, let's focus on solutions driven. That's where we want to live. We don't want to live where the problem is. We don't want to stay in that fear. We don't want it to freeze us. We want to get ahead of it. So if this is actually going to happen, what can we do to change the direction of it, right? And then the seventh question, so can I change it, is the first one, right? And then the second question to that is, what can I do to change this action, right? So when you're thinking about that, you have what resources are available to me, right? So if this is gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Worrying about it is not gonna change it, right? So let's move forward. What can I do to change it? So what can you do to change it? Oh, I don't know, I don't have the resources, I don't have this, I have to do. Are you sure you don't have the resources? Let's think about it. Let's really put some introspection to it. Get a pen, get a paper, and write it out. You might realize you have more resources available than you think, right? And then the last question I have for them is, am I living in the present? So majority of the time, our anxiety is driven in the past or the present. We're either worrying about something that is to come, that might not ever happen because it's in the future. How do we know what the result is going to be? How do we know what the outcome is going to be? How do we know what the future holds? So that's a big issue. Or if it's not the future we're worried about, we're usually worried about the past. We did something in the past and we stay in that guilt and that worry, and this happened, I should have did this, I should have said that, I should have did this, I should have quit that job, I should have told her or him where to go, and it just goes around and round and round in our mind because we don't know how to release that. We all know realistically we cannot change the past, and we all know realistically we cannot predict the future. So once again, is this realistic what we're worrying about, right? So this question puts us back into that mindfulness, getting grounded, thinking about the present, not focusing on the past and not focusing on the future. We need to think about right here and now and what we can either change or do differently, or do we need to just change our thoughts because we are pre-consumed with things we cannot change, okay? So these are questions that I give to my kids. I have them write it down in index cards. So if you wonder, you are suffering from anxiety, or you go through these worry episodes where you're concentrating on this and that happening, and some of these questions resonated with you, you should try this type of introspection. It definitely might help you and get you more grounded, present, mindfulness, and have you so stuck in that freeze kind of mode, right? So that's my third suggestion for anyone suffering from anxiety. My fourth suggestion would be art therapy. So what is art therapy? Art therapy is getting involved in arts. So there is something called coloring books for adults and people who have anxiety. So I would definitely suggest that. A lot of the times anxiety is stemmed from all this pressure and responsibility and all these things we have to worry about, right? It just overcomes us and takes us, and it's just we get so consumed. It feels like it's going to consume us. So one thing that is really good is just releasing through art and doing things fun. Doing fun things that you can relate to, or just kind of going back to that time, because us as kids, we always, I don't think there's not one kid who did not enjoy coloring and did not enjoy some type of art kind of form and kind of therapy, right? I think we all enjoy that. So it kind of takes us back to that time when things were so much simpler and so much, just free, right? So coloring book for adults work great for anxiety. If you feel like that's too childish, or you're like, I don't want to do that, I never liked coloring, what about art? You could do art. They have a lot of art therapy. You can get yourself a little small easel, desktop easel, and just paint and just be one with yourself. So any type of art therapy you can involve yourself with, it don't have to be painting, it don't have to be coloring, it could be dancing, it could be some type of acting. Anything where you're getting involved in the arts is a great way to kind of ease your mind, distract yourself, and just have fun. So remember, where you focus your mind is where your energy is going to go. So if you stop feeding the anxiety by giving it so much attention and so much energy and focus on something else, the feeling will subside. That's just the way it works. So if you're focused on art, dancing, having fun, doing something that takes you out of your head, for that, at least for the time being, the anxiety won't be so overwhelming, and that gives you that break and that time to really think clearly. Because when you're consumed with anxiety, it takes over you and it's hard to think clearly. And then one other suggestion that I would use and I would ask people to definitely try out is exercising. So if you're not a type of person who likes to gym, I can relate. I don't like to gym myself. Do other types of exercises. Dancing. We mentioned dancing. You could take a Zumba class. You could just take a walk. You don't have to do anything that's like super strenuous. Take a walk, go into nature, get out, get some air. If you're focused on whatever is causing the anxiety, like I said, if you're putting all your energy and focus into it, it's going to make it worse. You are feeding the fire. That's exactly what you're doing. So what you want to stop doing is stop feeding it by stop giving it so much energy and attention. Whatever you worry about, you're going to be worried about it later. So why not just disconnect and go have a little bit of fun and just get out into nature and do some exercising if you can. Bike riding, hiking, walking, swimming, dancing, whatever form of exercise you enjoy, go out and do it. Find a friend, find a partner that can be your workout buddy. You know, there's so many apps and so many different ways of doing it with people you don't even know. So definitely try to look into these ways of releasing. I promise it would help. Do not let anxiety consume you. I know it's easier said than done, but these little tips and tricks will help you. You just have to, focus your energy on it. If you're having trouble and the anxiety is definitely consuming you and you feel like you are completely trapped and you can't get things done and it is interrupting your everyday activities and everyday life, then it is time to seek help. Go to, see a counselor or a therapist that specializes in anxiety disorder, because it can manifest and just disrupt your whole entire life, and you don't want that to happen. So definitely take control of it. If you're just suffering from little things and you don't need counseling, and you might just be going through something that you feel super anxious with and you can't find the answers and you're very blocked, like I said, you can always speak to someone that's close to you about your worries and fears. That will help. If not, you can seek out a life coach. I actually work with individuals who suffer from anxiety. So, if it's not something that's extremely consuming and you're just looking for little tips and tricks and how to get away from it, and someone that can help you be accountable for these different methods that we kind of talked about, you can always look into services of mine or anybody else, any other type of individual, a life coach that can help you work through it. Okay, well, that's all I have for today, guys. I wish you nothing but the best of luck, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much. Bye.